What's up, my friends? The much anticipated Porter's Place here in the 904. Hello, everybody. You see I'm all jagged out. Yes, I have a leather coat on in the inside. It's cold in the building, but we'll talk about that later. Big story of the day here in Duval. The $275 million man had his end of the year press conference. I'm talking about Trevor Lawrence. We haven't seen him since maybe when he played in Philly, that fourth quarter interception that he threw that ended up costing them the game. Was it then? Was it Philly? Texans, okay. My bad. It wasn't Philly. It was the Texans. Bottom line is the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, they've got a lot of work to do. This is the first time that we got a chance to hear from Trevor since his head coach, Doug Peterson, got fired. As you know, Shad Khan tasked Peterson 3 years ago to come in and to take Trevor Lawrence from being a potential generational quarterback to a generational quarterback. It did not happen. Thus, he got fired. Trevor really laid out some of the reasons today why he believed that Doug Peterson received the pink slip. Now, I was always told when you point the finger, remember 4 fingers are pointing back at you. Let you hear for yourself what Trevor had to say about Doug Peterson being fired.
If you asked any of us going into this season, no one would have thought Coach Peterson would have been fired at the end of the year, and you just see the way the year went, and it's just disappointing. So I think it's a weird feeling, but you do understand it's part of the business, and you have to continue to get better. And for whatever reason this year, we didn't do that, and that's not, I think there's a lot of things at play regarding that, and it's not all just on one person. And I'm very grateful for Coach and what he's done here and done for me. My rookie year was really tough and a lot of chaos and turmoil and just a really crazy situation, and for him to come in and provide stability and to kind of revive our team a little bit and be that consistent piece and voice for us. He's done a lot of great things here, so I don't want that to be overshadowed by obviously a tough and disappointing finish to how it went.
Let me say this, having been here since 2009, when Doug Peterson came to the 904, I was excited. We finally got that Super Bowl winning coach, a proven coach. The first year we won the games down the stretch to win the division and get into the playoffs. We go all the way to the divisional round, but let me not skip the wild card game against the Los Angeles Chargers, down 27-0, everybody leaving the stadium. And then we come back and we win the game in dramatic fashion. Go to Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, the loudest stadium or one of the loudest in the NFL. Once again, we come up a couple of plays short. We walk away from that season believing, okay, after what happened Trevor Lawrence's rookie year, we finally got the coach who's going to help Trevor take the next step. Didn't happen. 9-8 the next year. Lost to the lowly Tennessee Titans in that regular season finale. If Trevor could have just thrown the ball an inch shorter, Calvin Ridley would have caught that pass and walked into the end zone and we would have been victorious. Did not happen. We go to Miami. We have complete control. We have the momentum. Late in the game, Travis Etienne, who when he's healthy, is one of the most electrifying running backs in the NFL. Fumbles! But we still had a chance. Trevor had 2 opportunities in that fourth quarter for us to get the win. It did not happen. I think we had a sack late in that ball game that ended up dooming us. I say all of that to say this. Doug Peterson put us in position to win some ball games. QB 16, $275 million man, you're part to blame for Doug Peterson not having a job. I'll elaborate a little later, but let me bring in my right-hand man, Shaz Perrani. Shaz, you were at the press conference today. Yep. We were excited to hear from Trevor Lawrence. Before we even get into what he said about Doug Peterson, and I know that my director is going to kill me, Andy Willis, I'm a girl dad. I got to start with the sweetest part of the press conference today. Trevor Lawrence, a new dad, Shaylin, 10 pounds, 2 ounces. I know we have a picture of her. Shaz, you will be a parent one day. I will tell you this. Girls tug at your heart. Oh, yeah. Anything my aunt wants, I can talk all the trash. There's the baby. Anything that my aunt wants, I can talk all the trash. that I want to talk, she's going to get it. But let's start with this beautiful baby girl. What's your thoughts on Trevor being a new dad, Shazi P?
You know, he walked in today just seemed so happy, just seemed vibrant, regardless of everything that's gone down this season. I mean, this moment in his life is bigger than anything else, right? Anything that happens on the football field. And he just seemed a little rejuvenated when he did talk in front of us. And in a way, he wasn't scared to say anything. Maybe this is one of those things where it's like there are bigger things to life than football, right? And now it's set in. And so for him to have that, have this moment, maybe this becomes something to push him even further going in. And really happy, really excited for him. Christian Kirk's going to be having a kid soon. A lot of these younger players are getting into that different part of their lives now. So maybe a little more motivation, a little something changing along the way for them. But the biggest thing today, Chris, was Trevor wasn't afraid to speak. That was the biggest thing I noticed today. All year long, the issues, we kind of saw what was going on, but never heard it from Trevor. Always a little scared, but today for the first time, he was ready to point fingers. Also took blame himself, right? You were just speaking earlier, Travis's fumble, Trevor not finishing out games. Coach Peterson put them in position to win games, but if the players aren't going to do it, then who else is, right? Doug can't get out there. He's not going to throw a pass. He used to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
Not going to get out there now. Not the age for it, but these guys have to make plays. But Trevor actually, for the first time, spoke up, which I was so happy to hear today. Well, one thing, Chris, was you're going to touch on this, but issues build over time, right? After that loss to Tennessee last year, all you have to do is go win one of those last 4 or 5 games to make the playoffs. You lose that last one, and I feel like since then, the momentum just felt like it went crashing and crashing and crashing down. You come to Miami, you talk about the fumble. It feels like that was the moment that kind of the whole season flipped.
It was the precursor.
Yeah,
it sums up how the season went.
Yeah.
And I want to address something. Trevor speaking, being 100 today. He has no choice.
Yeah.
You've been paid $275 million. Many believe that Trevor Lawrence has not earned that $275 million contract. Many were asking, what are we paying him for? And they're still asking that same question. Now, of the 13 losses we've got this year, he's responsible for 10, 11 of them. But the bottom line is, he has not been that man. When you make $275 million, you are supposed to be an elite quarterback.
Right.
And when he stepped to reporters today, he knew, number one, you no longer have anyone else to blame. We know the debacle with Urban Meyer. We don't even count that. But then with Doug, a Super Bowl coach, who I really believe in Doug's defense, the offense was limited because of Trevor Lawrence's inability to be consistent. So because you have a quarterback who can't throw people open, who isn't reading the defense as quickly as he should, who a lot of times he doesn't even make the touch passes. And you're talking about a guy who's being paid as one of the highest in the NFL. So he had to be 100 because at the beginning and the end of the day, he has nobody else to blame, Shaz. When the 2025 season starts, and just to give you an update on his health, he says he's about almost 4 months in with this after having the shoulder surgery. He should be at 100% or close to it. Right. And about at the 6-week mark of this, and he says about 3.5 weeks into his recovery, hopes to participate in OTAs, but he will be ready for the season. He's not going to rush it, all that good stuff. All of that is cute now. We all understand that now. Injuries, that's a part of the game. But Shaz, I really believe, and we'll get on who we think or the candidates that they're looking into, interested in making becoming the next head coach. If Trevor Lawrence does not perform this year, because based on the body of work that we've seen and his record, if you had to ask me right now, how would you rate him? Is he elite? Is he average? Is he subpar? Is he a bust? 4 years in, I'm not going to say a bust because
still young.
I'm going to remain hopeful. And I'll say this. No matter who I talked to for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season, I was riding the Trevor Lawrence bandwagon. That's all I kept saying. Pay the man his money. Yep. Take the pressure off of him. Because let's not forget, guys, and Shaz, you know this, when Trevor had his struggles, the first thing everybody said, we want Mac Jones. Mac Jones can make these throws. And I love Mac Jones. Cover him at Bowles. Follow him at Alabama. Jacksonville native, always been kind to us. But we know people are backups for a reason. Yeah. And the Jaguars, in my opinion, help Trevor by giving him that $275 million deal because it did one thing. Shad Khan is not going to allow a man that he's paying an average of $55 million a year to sit on the bench no matter what he's doing on the field. So they took that pressure off. They silenced whether fans want to talk about if he struggled, bring Mac Jones in. Also, we saw in training camp, we were concerned about all of the turnovers. And Shaz, we saw a lot of that during the regular season.
Yeah, simple throws, the touch passes, right? These quarterbacks, there's no rush. There's nothing. You're literally throwing as you're practicing, not hitting open throws. We saw Patrick Mahomes come in here in the preseason.
Yep.
We saw Aaron Rodgers, one of the greats, come in here late this season. You watch them just make these simple throws. It is so much different than the way Trevor throws. Trevor it feels forced. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like he has that confidence and he's just trying to do too much. And like you said, a lot of those 2-yard outs, third and short. Mm-hmm. He's not hitting Evan Ingram on a 2-yard out to get a first down with 3 minutes left in the game. You can't be doing that as a $275 million man. You have to go win games. The Chiefs this year, how many games have they won with less than one possession games? Their running attack has been hurt all season.
Yep.
Isaiah Pacheco has been in and out. Kareem Hunt, who wasn't rostered this year, comes in out of nowhere, fills in for you. You have to find a way to win, buddy. That you have to make those throws at the end of the day. You have Brian Thomas Jr., who's an elite receiver. If you sit down and watch the film, this kid is getting open almost every single play. There are no more excuses, Chris.
Nope.
He's got to make these throws.
Yep.
And when we see it firsthand from us, it's a little nerve-wracking, I will be honest, because you can't go away from a guy that you pay this much. It's impossible. No one's going to take on that money to give you draft picks. That's done. You are stuck with Trevor. Trevor's got to get better, and now whoever coach you have to bring in they're going to have to figure out what we are going to do offensively. He wants this great offense. Is he going to be able to fit what they're trying to do, and is he the guy? That is the biggest question, Chris, and we didn't see it answered. He got hurt this year again for a second year in a row, and that's something he's going to have to do is stay healthy.
Yep, because many people are wondering if that's going to be the story of his career, not being able to finish the season, because you got to have your quarterback in the game, that elite quarterback, if that's what he's going to develop into. If we want to be in the playoffs consistently, if we want to one day compete for Super Bowls. Now, we knew coming into this season the expectations were extremely high, not just by the Jags fans, but most importantly by their boss, Shad Khan. Shad Khan going on the record saying that this is the best team ever assembled, best Jaguars team ever assembled. We know that's not true, but we also never got to the root of who told him that. So with that being said, you go 4-13 after the debacle of last season, after we started 8-3, and we were being talked about as one of those teams that was a Super Bowl contender. We fast forward back to now, and we just flat out suck. So we knew Doug was on the hot seat from the start of the year to have to make the playoffs. Well, today Trevor talked about some of the issues, some of the reasons why this offense could not or was not productive in 2024. Take a listen.
I think that, we have the guys to do it. We need to just find more consistency, and I think that there's we need to get some juice back in this place. It seems like we've lost that in the past year and a half or so for whatever reason, and we got to get that back. And I think that's something that us as leaders on the team really have to look at, and we got to take our part too. This isn't just we fired Coach Peterson, so now that's all on him. That's on us as players too. We have to get that energy back. We have to take our part of it too, because we're the ones out there on the field playing. And I think that that's something where we can't just think just because some changes are made, staff and everything around us, that it's all going to fix. We have to be the ones to really change our trajectory, to be honest. So, but I do have confidence in the type of people we have, the players we have. But this is a big offseason, and we have to really dial in and like I said, build that culture and become just a tough, hard-nosed, gritty team. I think we need more of that.
So he's already acknowledging, even with the change in coach, that's not going to be enough. They have got get better. But Shaz, I really thought this was interesting. You know, all season long, one of the things that we kept asking when this team was beginning to struggle week in and week out, basically, has Doug Peterson lost the locker room? And every week they defended their head coach. Yeah. They said, you know, as he just said, it's not our coach's fault. At the beginning and the end of the day, we have to execute. But Shaz, since Doug Peterson got fired, on Monday when you guys talked to players in the locker room, and then again today, it's all of a sudden putting the blame on him.
Flipped, right? That's why I'm chuckling a little because, yeah, on Monday, Trayvon Walker was straightforward and like, we need somebody that's going to keep us together. They lost fire. They lost that. And you don't lose juice overnight. That takes a process. This doesn't happen week to week, right? So when you come into the season, you have to have that built. You have to have that trust. You have to have that juice as a team. And this is over the years and over the season. And one more thing, Eric Armstead was also like, I'm going back to my old position. Why did I change? So there's a lot of small issues that we're finally seeing coming out to the front. So that thing Doug said, I didn't lose the locker room. Well, surely now he definitely has. So it seems like that's the biggest thing outside of the X's and O's. Even Trevor said today, we're going to have to build a culture. There's going to have to be a leader that comes in here and tight-knits us and give us that confidence that we can step out there. This team has the talent. But from Trevor, it sounds like they don't have the confidence to step out there and say, we are the best and we're going to win this. So these issues that have been hidden behind the wheel the last few weeks are all out now. And that's the interesting thing to see is everyone speaking up. Why wasn't there maybe a little more commotion earlier in the season when there was maybe still a chance to go out and win, right? When Trevor was healthy before the Texans game. Look at the Bengals. They went on a streak towards the end of the year to at least give themselves a chance. So when you've lost the juice early in the season, who cares what happens at the end? Because there is no juice left. So That's the crazy thing is that this has been going on for a few weeks and maybe even at the end of last year's when they didn't make the playoffs. So it's just to build upon and finally it's all out.
You know, I also found something interesting today. If I heard Trevor correctly during his press conference today, he said this train began to come off the tracks last season. And so it was interesting because when we would talk to Doug towards the end of last year, and there were moments this season where he would say, at the beginning and the end of the day, when everybody was calling for Press Taylor to be fired as the offensive coordinator, when they had that bye week and he said, we're going to look at the organization from top to bottom and we're going to make the adjustments that we need to make to make this team or to help this team to get to going. One thing that really stood out to me that I think has been overlooked, as Trevor said, for more than a year is when we would hear Doug say at the beginning and the end of the day, the players have to make the plays. We can call them, but there isn't a coach on this sideline that can execute the plays. He also said, if you remember last year, he made the comment that I lost my train of thought. I'll get back to it. Anywho, he made the comment about at the beginning and the end of the day, we can't go out there, we can't throw, we can't catch, et cetera, et cetera. It'll come back to me. Anywho, we'll move on. But we will say this. We need a new coach, and we have some candidates. The Jaguars have like 9 or 10 now, and I think we can pull them up on the screen. And there are some big names, and there are some sexy names. The likes of Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. You've got Steve Spagnuolo, a longtime defensive coordinator. He's won 4 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator, 3 in Kansas City, 1 with the New York G-Men. Robert Saleh, who we know. And let's be frank, Shaz, as inconsistent as our offense is, our defense hasn't been good either. And somebody like a Robert Saleh, who you see up there on the big board, we know that no matter where he's gone, the defense is going to play extremely well. But when asked today if he wanted to have a say in who the next coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars should be, Trevor said this. Or what he wants in a head coach. He didn't say who is going to be what he wants in a head coach.
Obviously, I'm biased. I'm an offensive guy. I'm a quarterback. So I think from that standpoint, sounds great having a young offensive coach that can, bring the system in and that we can just grow together and have that system in place for years to come, that sounds great. That from that standpoint, that would be great. But I think just as far as a leader, you want the right guy that's going to be the right leader and voice for your team and set that culture. And just to be a tough team, mentally, physically, that can withstand the ups and downs of the season. I think that was something that the last couple or 2 years ago we did a great job of, but for whatever reason this year we weren't able to do that. And it's hard to put a finger on sometimes why you're not able to. But I think from a leader standpoint, whether it's an offensive coach or a defensive coach, just a guy that's going to instill that culture, that toughness into our team, and just that confidence that it doesn't matter who we're playing, when we're playing, just spot the ball and we can beat anybody. And just a tough team that other teams don't want to play against. So I think all that, we need to get back to that, and whether it's offensive or defensive, that's, I think, the most important piece. But, yeah, of course, obviously I'm biased with the offensive thing, but whoever it is, just that mindset, I think, is important.
All right, Shazi P., I'm going to set you up here.
All right.
Some of the things he said, a coach that can build a culture. He wants a coach that can withstand the ups and downs of an NFL season. Is he saying Doug wasn't capable? Anywho, he said he wants a coach that can build confidence in his players. Yeah. Of those coaches on that screen, there's a guy that you truly believe can do that. Sound off, my friend.
Ben Johnson. It's the biggest name, right? We've heard this all the time, but who has the best culture in the NFL right now? Mm-hmm. The Detroit Lions. Winning, we're not talking about winning culture. That's the Chiefs. Anyone from the Chiefs you can take, it'd be great, but Detroit has that culture where they're going to punch you in the mouth and they don't care if you're going to punch them back in the mouth. And I feel like this team needs a little bit of that. They feel soft at times. You go into that Titans game last year.
Feel soft, Shaz? Just tell it like it is.
They are soft. All right. You go into that last game of the season against the Titans last year. Titans have nothing to play for. Who even is their quarterback? It's Ryan Tannehill's last game of the season. Why are you not going out there with a little fire to go win it? Why are you losing that game? You have to have a little bit of that punch mouth in you. Ben Johnson brings that because of where he's coming from. I'm not saying it's going to be the exact same, but he brings that with him. Offensively, right? You've paid Trevor. You have these pieces, so you want to bring in that offensive mind that is going to make the best of these guys. Now, you look in Detroit, you have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. These guys are one of the best backfields in the NFL. Who do you have here? You've got Tank Bigsby, who's proven this year he's taken that step. He can do more than what they offered him that rookie year.
He can do more than fumble?
Yeah, he's been better this year. Okay. He's definitely been a lot better, and I think he's showed it over time, right? He did have a few, but recovered them. They were safe. But now Travis Etienne didn't have a great year, but you have that double running backs. You can do that. You have Brian Thomas Jr., a great receiver. You got Amon St. Brown in Detroit. I'll be honest, BTJ, to say maybe a little better. Numbers definitely say so. I'm not going to say what happens in the future, but you have pieces here for Ben to come in and immediately turn this team around. Defensively is where everything is also going to have to be taken a look at, right? So Ben comes in, offense is going to be fine. We hope fine, but that's what he's going to do. Now, defensively, who is he going to bring? That's going to be a big thing. But culture and the guys you've paid and where you're trying to build and make that money from the offense and the high-powered, I think he's the best guy for it. What about you, Chris?
I'm not going to say who I want the Jacksonville Jaguars to go after quite yet. Okay. Because I want to address what Shad Khan said on Monday during the press conference when asked would Trevor or the players have a say in this. And he made it clear that it will not be an Aaron Rodgers 2.0. We know what Aaron Rodgers did to the New York Jets. He wanted to and was able to handpick the people that he wanted to be a part of that offense. And we see what happened up there. So today, Trevor talked about whether he felt he should have a say and who the Jaguars should hire as their next head coach.
My job is to prepare myself to play really well and to win games and be on the field. So I don't want to ever cross any boundaries and try to do more than my job if that's not wanted or needed. So I, of course, have opinions. I've been here now 4 years. I've had two coaches. I've seen good, bad, kind of everything in between. So I do have an opinion, and I think that Mr. Khan and Trent really value my opinion, honestly. So of course, we'll have conversations, and we've had conversations. But as far as obviously, I'm not making the decision. You know, I'm the quarterback here. I'm not the owner. I'm not the GM. I'm the quarterback. I know what my role is, but I also think that my opinion is important. So, and I think that they value it. So I guess that I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I feel about it.
So bottom line is, he said without saying, but said it. He feels he should have a say.
Yeah.
And that's up to Khan and Trent Baalke to decide whether or not he will have a say. Based on his record, based on what he's done, I don't know how much of a he should have, but he wants to say. But here's my say. Here's who I want to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin. Here, my friends, I know that he is the head coach of one of the most franchises in all of the NFL. That a franchise 1960-something hadn't had but 3 head coaches, okay? Mike is a winner. Year in, year out. Has never had a losing season as an NFL coach. What do you hear about he's really good at? Building culture. You know, when you come to Pittsburgh, you're going to be physical. You're going to be professional. He's going to require you to bring your heart and every day. Mike Tomlin also say, okay, Chris, if we want Mike T, how do you sell? One, Mike, what you want? How much you want? What powers do you want? Let me tell you what we're offering you, Trevor Lawrence, who we believe, based on we paid him, that you can make him that generational quarterback. We all know if you're going to compete consistently in the NFL, you have to have a good quarterback. Things that make it to the playoffs every year, the teams that compete for Super Bowls and win Super Bowls every year, they've got quarterbacks. Yep. We've also got 10 draft picks this year. With 5th overall pick in the NFL draft. We got more than $40 million in cap room, because you know when you're building a franchise, you need draft pick building, you need cap space. Not only that, Mike, we've stadium of the future. You know, as we begin make Jacksonville a destination for NFL fans come and watch a football game, excuse me, we will offer you the stadium of the future. This first question, many are going to say, will Mike Tomlin be willing to work with Trent Baalke? No. I can tell you that now, no. But Shad Khan left the door open on Monday when asked, and when asked about the top candidates having a concern working with Trent Baalke. He said that if they can come, make it make sense. He didn't say he would fire Baalke, but he said he would be willing to entertain whatever they want, get them here so that he can build a winner. Why can't Mike Tomlin, not necessarily be GM, but have the final on all player personnel? Make him one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid in a coach in the NFL. He has won a Super Bowl. Really should have had 2. Yeah. He's won 1. I also think it's time for a change for Mike. It's time. It's time to plant your feet and your roots somewhere else. If he had a semblance of the success that he's had in the Steel City, the statue out there in front of Everbank Stadium of Mike Tomlin. Now, have to give up some stuff and trade for him? Absolutely. But do I believe the trade or the investment will be worth the return? Absolutely. Because, you know, I believe in order to make money, you got to spend money. It can't be cheap, and it won't be cheap. But that's the man right there, Shaz. I point that way. That man right over there.
I like it. It's fair. Tomlin, I mean, he's proven himself. What else does he have to prove? He's a great head coach. The culture, like you said, is the biggest thing, and that's what the city needs. And hey, no state income tax. It's warm. I mean,
come on.
We got 45 degrees.
Sell him, Shaz.
Mike, come on down
That's
here.
That's why you my dog.
Play some golf. You got every beautiful golf course here in Jacksonville. You got the players. Hey, Chris, I'm with you all the way.
And he will walk through the door, Shaz. Yeah. with the players' respect based on what he has done in Pittsburgh. You won't have to worry about being concerned if the few star players or some of the star players on our team would respect him. He is respected around the NFL. Now, we know that Mike is known for his tough defenses, and our issue, I really believe that our defense is an issue, and I think he could fix that quickly because he knows the ins and outs. He's a former defensive coordinator, and Pittsburgh always usually has a tough defense. But we do know, too, where he's going to need a strong OC because Trevor said this about the offense.
We weren't able to run the ball consistently, effectively.
This will be our last thing. We'll wrap up
that
here.
really gave us trouble, to be honest, and it's hard to get everything else going when that's struggling. So I think that's where you maybe can see the predictability is when that's not working, and you have to lean on pushing the ball downfield or getting the ball on the perimeter. I think that's where you can kind of see maybe some predictability. And obviously this year it becomes even tougher, right, with a bunch of injuries, and you lose me, Evan, Christian, Gabe. You lose some guys up front, you start to piece all those things together, and then it is challenging to be unpredictable and efficient and explosive when you're missing a lot of pieces. So, I think at times we were, for sure, and I think that's something that definitely should be evaluated in the new scheme that we get. Whoever comes in here, head coach, offense coordinator, whatever the setup is, just I think that run game piece of setting our guys up first with the scheme, and then obviously the detailed and coaching, making sure we're just all on the same page to where we can run the ball effectively consistently. Because I think that's where you look at the good offenses in the NFL. They all pretty much have that. So we need to be able to do that.
So Shaz basically summed up the attributes that he wants in coach. Mike Tomlin, he has all of those attributes. Anyways, when you're a head coach and when you're an effective one, you're more of a manager. Get an offensive guy. And why can't Trevor be to Mike now what Ben Roethlisberger was to him when he played at the big ketchup bottle? I think Ben was a rookie when they won the Super Bowl. We need to take Trevor to that next level. Mike Tomlin's my guy. Let's make it happen, Shazi P. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if Mike, we heard rumblings the last few years, coming out of Pittsburgh, maybe it could definitely happen. Realistically, though, I've got my eyes on Ben Johnson. I would love to see him. And the reason why, because then you have no excuses. The offense, right? You've seen what he can do. Put it out there and then give no excuses. Because after this next year, let's say you do get a mastermind like Ben Johnson in that offense, what excuse can you say? Then it's all on Trevor. It's all on the guys who aren't making the plays. And he's taking a little accountability, but we haven't really been able to just punch it in there. So now it has to be, if Ben comes in here, everything's on the table. Every single thing. That culture, hopefully he can bring in from Detroit, that they've smash mouth, they're going to go and hit you in the face, and it sounds like Trevor wants that as well. They want to walk in there with confidence and beat any possible team. And know that teams don't want to come into Jacksonville and play. And I'll be honest, Duval Nation deserves a lot better.
Yes.
They deserve a lot better.
Absolutely.
First full season, these guys are incredible. This fan base is incredible. And people have been coming for 30 straight. There were a lot of times they didn't need to.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Chris, you know this best. But it's time for change. And whatever the change be, everything needs to be put out on the table. And this next season, it's I think, going to be the biggest season. Not that this season wasn't supposed to be, right? It was supposed to be the biggest season of the franchise. But this next year, I think everything gets laid out, and it's got to be put out, everything.
And I'll make this final argument for Mike Tomlin. Let me talk about Ben Johnson first. I think he would be incredible here. I think if I were trying to make my case for Tomlin over Johnson is we know that Tomlin is proven. Right. We know that the things that Trevor says he wants a true leader, check. He can build a culture, check. The team is going to be physical, check. They are going to run the football and run it well under Mike Tomlin, check. Also, with Ben Johnson, he's got a lot of weapons. Let's not fool ourselves as if the Detroit Lions aren't loaded with a lot of talent. And kudos to them. And kudos to their owner for being patient when Dan Campbell first got there and things weren't going as well as we want this instant success. And you look at it now, they're like on their fifth string on defense and still finding a way to win a ball game. So, Ben Johnson, if you are our guy, you better draft well, like they're doing up in the Motor City. You better use your salary cap well, because I've always coaches say you're only as good as your players. So Ben Johnson will be a strong choice. I do know he has made it clear that he wants to, because he was in this cycle last year and pulled his name out of the hat because he says he has a great job, because he wants to do like the Sean McVay and the Kyle Shanahan's, kind of hand select their general manager, because they've got to work hand in hand together. And he said if the situation isn't, great, he has no problem staying in Detroit. But I said again, I think it's time for Mike Tomlin to make a change. There are rumors floating around Pittsburgh. I don't know how, that if he loses in this first round to the Baltimore Ravens, that he might be, your loss would be the Jaguars game. And I know it brings instant credibility. Shazzy, I enjoyed it, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right.